Hello viewer, today I'm going to be showing you how to properly play Solar System Exploration 2. I've seen other people make bases and I am horrified to the point where I've decided to make an entire YouTube video about it. So, there's three kinds of tips that I'm going to show you in this game. One is going to be standard gameplay tips that you can find and are encouraged by the game developer to use to help you explore. The second type is bugs that you can use to also explore further but are not encouraged by the game developer and are sometimes encouraged by other players. And the third type is using exploits such as lag switching, which are generally discouraged but are also considered ethical enough for what I'm doing. Whatever, it's good enough. I'm back. I unfortunately had to join a new server, and I couldn't join any old servers because they were all in the end game, and I wanted to show early game tips. And one way to force join a new server is to block one person in every existing server and then join the game normally, and that forces ROBLOX to create a new server for you. I would consider this one probably a bug. Let's go ahead and begin. Too much talking for not even having joined yet. So you spawn here. Usually you'll spawn in this area. This is South America. I prefer North America because everything is so much closer. I can show you that on the map. This is considered a gameplay class type of tip. If you press Shift P, you can use, everyone has access to ROBLOX Freecam in this game. So that is South America, that is where we spawn, and that's where the first player in a server will always spawn. Up here, you can use E and Q to go up and down. You can use the arrow keys to change your speed. Up here at North America, everything is so much closer and much more convenient. Shift T to go back to my character again. So you're going to start by claiming a plot. In order to use the mill, you don't really have to claim a plot at all, actually. You can kind of just walk around the side. If you're ever stranded or something, you find yourself on the wrong continent, you can always use any mill that you find. The first part of building a ship is grabbing a chassis. I love the wooden plank. I was actually very lucky to get it on the first try. It's very convenient for the bug I'm about to show. Well, actually not a bug, it's more of an exploit. The exploit I'm about to show called lag switching. So this is a modified version of something I found online. Better suited for my needs, it's an 8-second lag switch, which means it turns off the Wi-Fi for 8 seconds, and then it connects me back. You can do this with a physical Ethernet cable, which I also have, but I like to use this for my timing more. So with this focused, I can just press X and it will cause an 8-second lag switch. And during that lag switch, I'm going to, actually before that, I have to spawn a couple engines in. The bug I'm trying to show you is bugging many, another plank. Bugging many engines into one area, which is useful for saving space on your ship. Let's go ahead and do that. Time is limited, so I'm gonna have to do this rather quickly. Oops. Okay, so I ran out of time. I can fix that by clipping my camera through. This is more of a bug than an exploit, and it only works for the standard type engine. Let's see here. It should go in like that. There we go. Now we have 6 engines in one spot, which is what I like. I actually like to use 18 engines in total. 3 sets of 6. Using a control panel, you can fix your ship, make it go down correctly. There we go. Now we have 18 engines and no fuel tanks. The next bug I will show you is called Bluetooth fuel or wireless fuel. It's done by attaching two or three propane tanks out like this, disconnecting the one closest to your ship. These two will still be connected to your ship, so they'll still add fuel. As you can see, I have 60 liters, equivalent to 3 propane tanks. And you can actually just keep adding fuel to this, and it will make your ship have more and more fuel, which is a little bit ridiculous, but every player who has ever learned about this uses it so often, so I consider it a bug rather than any other type of gameplay mechanic. So I like to load up about 500 liters, which is 25 propane tanks. You can always go more or less, but my primary purpose for my ship is actually going to Mercury rather than the moon or anything else. Well, I do have to go to the moon still, but that's not my primary source of income, because you know, we're kind of playing Masterclass here. You can't really go around getting a measly few $1,000s. You know, we have to think bigger. I'm gonna grab some extra fuel just to make sure I'm absolutely loaded, and nothing will stand in my way for the creation of this video. And let's make it even. There we go. I usually don't grab a seat, but just in case, I will put one on my ship. I like to have a seat on it because you can click on it for a much further distance away than your actual control panel. Anyway, kind of half exploit that I use an auto clicker pretty often. It helps with buying things really quickly, and it helps with collecting moonstones. I suggest you get your throttle down to 3% when you're collecting moonstones. You can go faster if you don't see any. Also, you can use night vision goggles. If you have them, they're pretty much only useful for moonstone collection, so I would go ahead and grab those. There's the third. So grab 3 moonstones and then head on back. I'm gonna head back to North America because it's closer. Even though I spawned in South America, that's okay. Everything will work the same, and worst comes to worst, you can still use any of these mills because they're all public. So talking to this guy, you're gonna sell your 3 moonstones for 1,000 cash. Refill your ship first. And then in order to use the Junction teleport exploit, I buy a Junction from Kohler. That costs 350, which leaves me at 558. And then I buy 5 explosives. And then we aim straight up into the sun, blinding sun. And our next stop is Mercury. But we're not just going to be surface Mercury mining, because, you know, that's kind of beneath us. Again, we're Masterclass. That is not supposed to happen. That's one way to go to the core, though. I lost complete control of my ship. Anyway. I most often go to the side closest to Earth. The dawn side, I guess. That's what I like to call it. From there, I like to place a junction and grab a pipe from it, but don't click on the junction or anything. Just grab a pipe and then unequip the pipe so that it's still in your inventory. From here, you have to, the easiest way to do this, I'll explain what I'm trying to do in a second. The easiest way to do it is to go to the other side of the planet, because like I said, we're not surface mining, we're core mining. So we want to go as deep as we can, and the best way to do that is by literally no clipping into Mars. And I do it like that. I face the opposite direction from my junction. Like, I go around the entire planet. If this control panel bug happens, you can cut the... Hello? Oh, my Ethernet has disconnected. I will probably have to meet you in a little bit. Yep, I like to explode things on Mercury core because you don't really have to worry about collecting your rocks, especially if you have an auto clicker. Like, they won't go flying anywhere. And also, it's a lot easier to just walk here, and you'll never worry about running out of actual terrain to explode. Or any, you won't have to worry about getting like trapped in your terrain either if you dig a really big hole. So you can, first I'll show just placing the chargers normally, because I have another way that I like to do it. Let's go ahead and do that. So 6, 7, 8, 9, 0, and that quickly places all 5 of my charges. Careful not to place them too close to each other, because sometimes they go on top of each other, and that causes an undesired bug where you don't actually, it won't really explode and you don't get any rocks. The reason I like to use the chair again is because you can reach it from much quicker. So I could have my chair be, that'll work too actually. Since I have my Junction teleporter, I'm just using my auto clicker to kind of sweep the ores that I want. Excuse me, since I have this, I can just sit down and teleport back. Which I will go ahead and do now that I exploded all 5 charges. So, pipe, and then fly away from the sun towards Earth. Yum. With 18 engines, the flying is a lot quicker. And we are at Earth. I'm not sure about this, but from my observations, you actually get more core rocks the lower down you are. On the surface, I almost never have more core rock than Mercury rock. We go ahead and sell and get $7.8 thousand. That's amazing. Or cash. Refill your ship. I'm gonna buy another junction so that I don't have to worry about getting to the core. Another pro tip, I'm also gonna buy explosives and an air tank. Actually 2 air tanks, but another pro tip is to use my auto clicker. When you're placing down your first junction, you can kind of place it in a crater, and that will help. That'll help you do your teleporting inside your no clip. It helps a lot. I just made a mistake here. I don't have to go anywhere because I can just use the teleporter. So in this server, I decided to put it inside a crater. I'm gonna head to just a random corner of the earth and then go slowly away from, there we go, slowly away from the direction of my junction. Then let's head down here. And then I'm gonna place my junction. We no longer need the surface Mercury teleporter. Now we can have a Mercury core teleporter, which is this new one right here. From there, I'm going to show a more interesting way to explode things, which is easier for a rock collection. This is going to involve using Lagswitch, so I consider it an exploit kind of feature. So, how it goes is you turn on your Lagswitch, place as many charges as you can, then turn off your Lagswitch so that you reconnect. And that causes many explosions in the same spot without wasting any explosive charge. I'm going to go ahead and do that. So I'm gonna click, I just like to click up because I know I can always click up. I usually get to about 19 or 20 before the Lagswitch turns off again. At the start I suggest you do more like 10. And you'll know you did it right because all of them link at the same time. And you also get a huge lag spike. The reason I do it like this though is because all of the junk rocks that you can't collect despawn very quickly like this. They do lag the game, which is not a benefit at all. In fact, the normal rocks that you can collect will also lag the game. But it does help with the lag. So using an auto clicker, I'm just going to kind of hold it down and vacuum all these rocks into my backpack. And then make sure your junction is far away from your exploding site so you can always equip your pipe and go back. In general though, whenever you're using a Junction TP, jump before you equip it. So jump and then equip. That way you won't, that way you'll end up exactly where your teleporter is. Collect all of these. You can also use night vision goggles to check. It looks like those are the only ones to collect. Okay, with all those rocks collected, I'm gonna jump and press 5. And that teleports me exactly to where I left my teleporter. With that complete, I will now head back to Earth. Oops. Okay. With that complete, I will now head... Okay, so careful not to get stuck in these little gaps on Mercury that I didn't know existed until I started getting stuck in them all the time. You can also use your surface teleporter to get away from. Heading back to North America, we will sell 200 core rocks plus 100 Mercury rocks, more or less. And this is always the part that confuses everyone when my money suddenly jumps to 107,000 coin. If you take some of this money, you can actually, I usually get to like 400 or 360,000 coin, which is a ridiculous amount. So that concludes pretty much everything for early game rock collection and cash grabbing. So I'm going to move on to mid game. The first thing I suggest you do is start to set up a colony. I like to go to Mars because it has really nice flat land and the gravity is kind of convenient if you ever get stuck in a hole or something. It has much lower gravity than Earth and Venus and stuff, but it's not too inconvenient so as to send you flying to Jupiter. It also has a good amount of sun, so you can actually see what you're doing without floodlight spamming. So with that in mind, I'm going to grab 3 prospecting pickaxes. Usually you only need like 2, but with this amount of money, you can go up to 4, honestly. Mercury also has a lot of good material deposits. I'm gonna grab another air tank just in case. I don't really need it because I'm going to use another bug exploit combination with Terraformer duplicators. Let's actually grab 10 of those. I'm also gonna grab explosives just in case I end up needing them. That should be good. Okay, let's refill our ship also. Actually, I already did that. Let's just clear that. Okay, so from Kohler, I have a bajillion dollars, more or less. So, I'm gonna grab 1 dome. For my mega base design that I'm hopefully gonna show in this video, I grab 6 mills. And you can kind of spam 4 easily, and then it gets more difficult as his chat messages start popping up. Start me with 6 mills, 1 dome, 6 drills. I suggest 6 drills for any kind of base if it's going to be a player spawning base. That's 5, so that should be 6. So 6 mills, 6 drills, 6 frackers. I like to go 6 junctions just because 6 is a nice number and depots connect 6 things. But that's why I go for 6 of everything, except it looks like I just grabbed 7, but we're not going to worry about that. And then I like to burn pretty much the rest of my money on factories. So Since the I'd like to buy button is directly above the factory button, you can actually use an auto clicker on this button. So this is kind of an exploit, but it's a really non-harmful exploit. So you can just hold down your auto clicker and spam T. So I'm gonna do that 10 times. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. There's 10 factories, just like that. That cost me half my money. So that's 20. 20 should be fine for the first layer of my mega base. So from here, I'm going to launch myself into space. And facing away from the sun, that's how I remember it, you will find Mercury. Before you go terraforming it, I suggest you form Alcaleus, Alcaleus. It's a little moon that forms when you tap the two really small moons called Phobos and Deimos. I don't know which one is which. It looks like the other player in the server actually formed it. So you'll find a floating gray rock and a floating red rock. And you can actually use this, sometimes pro players like to use this planet for their starting money, because it can form, let's see if I can find one, that would be really convenient. It looks like the other players here. Anyway, it can form shock stones, which are worth 2,000 each. And the idea is that they're much more time efficient than moonstones. So those are also a valid option instead of actual moonstones. So I like to build directly under the sun. I guess right here is a good spot. And then using your pickaxe, you have 100 uses per pickaxe to find very high deposits. Only once on Mars have I had to settle for a medium metal deposit, and it was terrible. Don't do that. Looks like I just found very high metal in this general area, so I'm going to go for that. So to place all my structures that I want, careful with pipes, by the way, because clicking them will teleport you, and then next thing you know, you're on Mars or Mercury with no ship, and it's sad days. And also with stuff like that, how I just selected that on accident. You can do that to pipes, and it won't be a fun day. So the next bug I'm about to show you, don't use a Lagswitch for what I'm about to do, because it will spawn everything in one place. But if you place structures quickly enough, such as in this fashion, while you're walking, you can kind of place them really close to each other without having to worry about, you know, anything else. So like if I wanted to place another drill here, it would probably tell me, hey, that's too close. Okay, so the bug exploit I'm going to show you is Terraformer duping. Lets you terraform any planet with one terraformer. It's not just placing one manually. So there's two things behind it. One is kind of an exploit thing, but you can do it manually also, and that is just using an auto clicker on it, and that will terraform many times faster. You can tell how terraformed the planet is by the water level, and you can tell how fast it's terraforming by how fast the water rises. The way I like to do this is using a lag switch, because that's compatible with this. So I'm going to toggle my lag switch. Don't worry about the beeping if you hear that. I'm going to auto click, and now we have pretty much 9 seconds of Terraform spamming, and I am not even going to have to use a single air tank, looks like. This will lag the server. Oh my. Yeah, another pro tip, terraform first before you start placing drills, so that this doesn't happen. I've seen entire bases get submerged by terraforming, which is pretty unfortunate. Anyway, I was able to do this thing without using either of my OT tanks. Another funny thing, if you ever need to jump higher on a planet, you can jump and then equip an O2 tank. I call them O2 tanks, just oxygen tank. That lets you jump higher. This is a lot higher than you can jump by default on Mars, as you can tell. You can also jump lower if you have it equipped. Like so. Okay, now let's go ahead and find natural gas, which I am really close to somehow. Very conveniently. Actually this is disappointingly, no, oh, there we go, very high. I thought this was going to be just a high patch, which is not good enough for my standards, because again, we're Masterclass. Okay, so, just like with drills, you can spam frackers in the same way. I'm going to make sure the whole patch is very high. Looks like it. Let's go ahead and do that. So, like so, we suddenly have 6 frackers without worrying about any sort of space issues. There we go. That is so beautiful. From here, I like to go on top of a fracker and place. If I can be unstuck, this is a good use for the OT tank actually. That's why I grabbed them, even though I'm not terraforming. Even though I'm terraforming. I like to place a junction, like so. I like to get 1 fracker input. Another player just joined. 1 fracker input and 2 drill inputs. And this is kind of our temporary central material location, if that makes sense. So any materials that we need will come from here temporarily. There's 3 types of piping that I see players do. One is ground piping, which is literally piping on the ground. I also call it sprawl piping in chat and in real life, I guess, because it's just on the ground and it gets in your way of walking. Another way is sky piping, which this is kind of going to be a form of, and it's piping in the sky. It's convenient because you're not tripping on the cables. Your player physically isn't. It's also a little bit annoying because there's green ugly cables in the sky. Cables, pipes is the same thing. So I'm gonna head away from the water because that was kind of a surprise. In fact, let's head over. What seems flat? That seems flat. It's kind of uphill, but it's good enough. So from here, I'm gonna place 20 factories, which is extremely overkill, except this is gonna be a server hub. And I'm placing them in this kind of strange fashion. The idea is that you can place many factories in a kind of small space without compromising, like, you know, player walkability. So players can still walk. So I like to change the 2 wide, 5 long, which makes 10, which is easy math. So there's 10 factories. Then we can sky pipe all of these factories to. Don't worry about that. That happened. This is a game bug that happens if you pipe a factory too soon after it's just spawned. Anyway, the reason this is temporary is because there's no walkability in this system right now. Anyway, I'm getting all of these kind of sky piped so that they receive metal from my system. That was already attached. Since I already have so many base materials because I'm just that wealthy, I'm gonna unlock, I guess, like 8 out of the 10 factories. That should be fine. That might be a problem. That's fine. Following that, I'm gonna place another set of 10 factories from... Actually, first let's place our dome. I like to place it quite a ways away from factories. Right here seems good. This thing is much larger than the picture shows, but keep in mind it has to host a player spawn, so that's why. Clicking here gets you an air tank, but I already have 2. And you can't carry... You can only get one if you don't have any currently. I'm gonna grab 2 spawns. One is going to become the planet spawn. It's going to have a well and all sorts of cool stuff. It's also going to be disabled. The second spawn will go in the dome, but I'm going to hold off on it for right now because I actually don't... I want to keep it for when I'm ready to create a spawn. A real spawn. Also, this factory is usually facing... This spawn is usually facing that way with the fountain here or here, but it's okay. From this point, I'm going to make another set of 10 factories, which will definitely be in the way of the spawn and the base by now. Let's actually start it like right here, even though it's a little bit in the... Even though it's kind of in the spawn, I'd rather have it be in the spawn a little bit than be way too far out and entirely asymmetrical. There's 2 more factories. And you'll notice I'm using that same bug again, where you can place stuff quickly and it won't check for collision. And these will be the last 2 factories. That far away. Determining how far away your factory should be kind of comes with time, but you can look at the previous rows and kind of guess how far they should be, more or less. Let's get these piped in. For moving around convenience, I like to grab a jetpack. For right now, I'll just use it manually as any normal player would. There's a bug I can show you to have it have infinite fuel, which is incredible. That should be the last few factories. There we go. Okay, following this, I'm gonna go ahead and actually, seeing how we have full factories, I'm gonna grab 6 station mills, and I'll just go ahead and show how I like to build my mill area. It may possibly be an issue on this side, so I'll start with this side first. So moving here, I like to go just about in this area. I'm gonna move a little closer because the water right here should be fine. And then I like to place 3 factories, sorry, three mills on this side. Watch out for the pipes, because they can mess up the ground level, I guess, if that makes sense. Let's go ahead and get these hooked up. In order to actually place a spawn, you can... I'll actually show you. You only need one working mill that's unlocked. You can click that to unlock it. And then I think they made it 3 factories. It used to be 4. It's a little strange. Anyway, now that we have both of those set up, they both need to have materials also. But now that that's good, we can place a spawn in our dome. I'm just gonna do it right in the middle. That's fine. And this spawn should be active. and we can step on that to set it as our player spawn. And this fountain spawn should also unlock. The fountain spawn will be the first spawn that is made on a planet unless it's made in a dome, and then you don't have a fountain spawn. It shows things like server FPS, server age, server location, and it has a fountain, which is nice. I think it's also where players will spawn if they're forced to spawn on a planet by default. So we just pretty much ensured that new players will spawn here. Unless they spawn on Earth, of course. Following this, it's time to take care of this very silly piping issue. In order to do so, I like to use a total of 3 depots. 1, 2. These are not... I seem to have a small metal shortage. 1, 2, 3. Also, if it helps, you can not connect your mill until later, and that will help with actually having metal in your system, because yeah, now that this is full, it drained my junction and all of these factories are not working. It looks like they're starting to come back. Yeah. Anyway, it's time to... Careful of your jetpack fuel. Right around here in our mining section, I'm gonna place a depot with a pipe on it. I just heard a mill be used, or I'm insane. Anyway. And I'm going to clip myself on the inside of Mars in order to do the third type of piping, which is my personal preference. That is underground piping, and it's literally done underground. Okay, let's go ahead and I'm just gonna leave the pipe and then go up and then use my jetpack from now on for underground piping. Actually, that's not possible because I need to... in order to place stuff underground, you have to have a ship so that you're considered on the ground, I guess, if that makes sense. I'm gonna place that right here. This is just temporary so I can fill up my ship, but this will be its final spot. I know I hear a mill. Anyway, you can unlock that too and fill up my ship real quick. It should be full. Let's go ahead and go to literally the other side of the planet now. And, oops, that didn't work. Let's try again. Also didn't work, I was too high. There we go. Okay, I'm gonna place one depot right here under my frackers. I'm gonna place... Well, actually, it doesn't really matter where you place them because in order to have the max material throughput, I'm gonna cross-link them anyway. So, I will show you how that's done soon. My third depot goes in this weird area right behind my dome. Okay, now that that's done, I can head out and use my... This is kind of in the way. Anyway, I can use my pipe teleporter from now on, Junction teleporter. Okay, so... The first thing I want to do is make sure this is receiving material. I'm actually going to take off one of the... Yeah, I'll take off one of the frackers and instead hook it up to... You can clip your camera through the ground to place things in your underground system. this is my temporary main junction is receiving stuff from this depot here, which is almost under my dome. Following that, I'm going to make the cross-linked domes, which are my kind of input domes. So let's do 1, 2, 3. That seemed to have worked. The reason I do 6 frackers and 6 depots, or sorry, 6 frackers and 6 drills is because I can cross-link them with 2 depots pretty easily. And the reason you cross-link them is because every connection can transport a certain amount of metal and a certain amount of water and natural gas. So by having it built, I can just barely hit that, there we go. If I can have it built like this so that each depot is full of different things, my final depot, which is the dome one, will have a lot more throughput. So let's go ahead and get 4, 5, and 6. And then let's get the last 3 frackers as well. 6, 5. Also, I like to keep swimming while I'm doing this so that I don't end up on the surface without realizing. Then I have to do my no-clip glitch again, which is a little bit annoying. Let's go ahead and grab that last fracker. I seem to have gotten it. I seem to have not gotten it, actually. Let's try that again. Let me do it this way. There we go. So there's all our frackers. To go back up, I'm going to use my jetpack. Everything seems to be funneling now. Actually, okay, that's unfortunate. You can also place, if you're going to use your underground, if you're going to make a lot of changes to your underground network, you can, oops, let me just refill this. If you're going to make a lot of changes to your underground network, you can place a junction there and set up a teleporter. I don't do that because I generally have it done in like a one and done fashion. But looks like today I was not that lucky. Park my ship, head over here. And now I'm going to go to my dome depot. And I should have done this earlier, but it's okay. I'm going to have 3 inputs linked to this depot, and then 3 inputs linked to this depot. Like so. And this way, the maximum amount of materials possible is flowing through into this depot, which is my one and only source of material for pretty much the entire game. As you can see, we're already at 2,000 of each thing, which is very nice. Let's go back to the surface. From here, every single part of your base gets transferred from your temporary junction to your final depot. So, in a fashion kind of like this. Also, I should mention the ground piping thing is a lot more difficult, if not impossible, on other planets. Which is why ground piping and sky piping are also valid options for when you can't underground pipe. That should be the last 2 on this side. I'm also going to hook up all of my mills now that I've unlocked full throughput of material. If I can, there we go. Let's unlock these. And we're still receiving metal even though we have mills filling up, which is amazing. Just means we have a lot of material. By the time I'm done, I will have a mega base of 40 factories in total. You can also do it kind of short, like how I have it now, and have 20 factories. But I will show you guys the full version because it's a lot cooler. Like so. I'll probably time lapse this. There's our last factory, and everything is now ground piped. Actually, there's my refueler, which needs to still be ground piped. Underground piped, excuse me. Let's go ahead and do that. And by the time you're done, your underground network is gonna look a little wild, but it's okay because your above ground network is non-existent. Let's head over here, and now that we have nothing on the output for the junction, we can safely disconnect it without losing spawn. And now we have the most beautiful piping in the world. Following this, I'm going to set up our other 3 primary mills in a slightly asymmetrical fashion in order to avoid this pit here. Let's kind of do it like right here and right here and right here, I think. Just angled a little outward. There we go. You don't actually have to have a pipe equipped or set up in order to unlock your factories and make them available to everyone. So that's pretty nifty if you want to do it in that order. From here, I like to double my normal mills with station mills, which means I activate my auto clicker and jump, and that will place a station mill in the air. This is also a bug. If you use an auto clicker, you might consider it an exploit, but you could also spam click for the same effect. I just happen to be a little lazy. Let's get these linked up as well. So since these are in the sky, you are going to see more piping than you otherwise would, and you can add like a junction system if this really bothers you, but for my sake, it's okay. These are the only visible pipes that will actually cause or could cause any issue, but it's okay. They're really negligible and they're not in the way at all for the main area, I guess. Following this, let's go ahead and Jetpack kind of helps with displacement. Let's go ahead and get these ground piped as well, underground pipes. There we go. If I had more space, I would have moved all of this to the right more, but it's okay. It is not a problem at all. Now, any player can come in and use a mill to grab cockpit, spike engine. They can also, if they choose to and it's empty and hopefully not inconvenient for anyone, use 2 mills at once to grab materials a lot quicker. Or since you're the owner and you're going to be petty, you can do that as well. I usually don't build like this, but you can if you want to have a line of spike engines. Following that, I'm going to put a control panel. If you put it inside the cockpit, you actually generate oxygen, so you don't have to worry about that ever again. Sometimes there's a bug that happens, but it's okay. The reason I put my station mill up here is because you rarely ever use station mill stuff, except occasionally use the fuel drum. Well, really, anyone uses fuel drums, and they make ridiculous, annoying contraptions like this. You can do that same fuel glitch that I talked about earlier with fuel drum. At this point, you're pretty much almost endgame minus the destruction of Earth, which follows us soon. I don't know what those rings are about. wonder if that's Nibiru actually. Let's take a look. Actually, let's not take a look. I'm recording a video. Sorry about that. These had a lot of fuel, so even though this has no fuel canisters on it, I have 1900 liters, which is absolutely ridiculous. I like to gently shove disconnected fuel tanks out of the way because they're annoying. I also like to park a little bit far. They're very annoying for people who are actively building ships. Following this, I like to go around and collect a factory from every full factory. There we go. And the final form of my base involved having 3 refuelers, one here, and one in this area, generally here, sometimes here too. I'm gonna put it here this time. It also involves having a total of 40 factories, which I am short on. I already have 20 placed down, so this is 20 plus 10 plus 5 plus 5 is 40. Okay, now I'm going to double up my factories in a fashion like this, which is spam clicking, but it's okay because, you know, we're fine like that. You have to do it a little quickly because the placing, the no clip, like the structure no clip bug kind of wears off, if that makes sense. After some time, it will actually not work anymore. So you have to place your 2 factories that are next to each other kind of quickly. Also, you may sometimes get the annoying large model of the factory, which I will show you if I ever get it. And that can sometimes prevent you from placing your second factory, which is really annoying. So that's the large model that I'm talking about, and it just stops you from doing anything useful. So what we do in response, we take an explosive charge and do away with it. While that's happening, I'll show you about this bug. Using an auto clicker or by spamming, you can make your fuel go like that, and then suddenly I have 536% fuel. If you have 2 jetpacks on hand, you can do that again, and you can, oops, you can push a lot of, take that away. You can push a lot of liters into the thing, and then extract, and then push again with the other one. And you can continue in this strange fashion to get to infinite fuel. So if you ever see someone running around saying, I have a bajillion liters, hello, customer of my mega base. Apparently not customer because they just hopped in and are probably leaving. Anyway, if you see anyone going around like, I have a bajillion liters of fuel in my jetpack, I am so much better than you, that's unfortunate. Let's try to... Why did that not place? No! That is extremely unfortunate. I've never had that happen before. Well, that's goodbye to that factory, I guess. Anyway. I'm gonna try to get rid of this factory without blowing up too much random chaos. I need to get rid of the other one to do the no-clip glitch so that I can place my factory without worry. Let's grab like 3 more factories for the ones I lost. Also gonna disconnect. Why did... Whatever. Sometimes they're very strange, the explosive charges. It might be that there's this factory above my head which I also need to get rid of. I will cut the video and continue placing the rest of the factories, so be right back. I'm back. Unfortunately, some sort of internet connectivity issue has arisen, and I've lost so much progress. When you are kicked from the game, you unfortunately lose any progress you have, including, including any bases you have set up and any cash you have gained. And you can't even use ships anymore. So this is going to be the end of this video. Unfortunately, I'm not going to have shown you the fully operational base, but you've seen half of it. There are more bugs that exist in this game that I know about, and will probably put into another video because they're more late game. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you use these tips and are more considerate to other players, and don't spam a specific type of bright structure in their base because that would be really inconvenient. I will see you guys in my next video. Goodbye.